أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing great. Today, inshallah, we are going to study loads of examples of possessive fragments, also called as muzaf, muzaf ilayh in Arabic. And we have already covered the grammatical aspect, all the grammatical rules and what things we need to take care of while forming the muzaf, muzaf ilayh fragments in the previous lesson. And today, inshallah, we are going to briefly review what we did in the previous lesson, and then we're going to proceed with the examples, inshallah. So let's begin our lesson. Rabbi Yasir, wala tu'assir, wa tammim bil khair, Amin ya Rabbil Alameen. Alright, so this is the summary of what we did previously. It summarizes the important points, important prerequisites for muzaf as well as muzaf ilayh. Alright, so let's study what it says. First of all, muzaf, muzaf ilayh. Muzaf is this one, Kitabu Zaidin. Alright, so let's study first muzaf ilayh because its prerequisite is just one. Okay, so Zaidin, it is muzaf ilayh and it needs to be jar, and that is the only prerequisite that you need to know about muzaf ilayh. Alright, it needs to be jar. It cannot be any other Arab. The pentagon here signifies the 5 important points regarding muzaf. Alright, so let's cover these. Okay, first of all, in the fragment of muzaf, muzaf ilayh, of course, muzaf is going to come first, followed immediately by the muzaf ilayh. Okay, so this is done. It comes first. Next, our muzaf can be of any Arab. Okay, so it can be Kitabu Zaidin, it can be Kitaba Zaidin, it can be Kitabi Zaidin. Alright, all three of these Arab are correct. It can be of any Arab. Alright, next one is that it has to be without al. Alright, so it can never ever be al-Kitabu Zaidin. That is a crime. Okay, so nope, it's not true. It's not right. Okay, it has to be without al. It has to be Kitabu Zaidin. Okay, the next prerequisite was that it has to be light. And by light, what do I mean? There shouldn't be any ending na sound. Okay, and what are the situations where we can get the ending na sounds? First of all, it could either end with tanween. So if we have tanween, what do? We replace that tanween with a single harakat. Okay, so let's just zoom it up a bit. Great. Okay, so replace the tanween with single harakat. Its tanween becomes kitabu, single harakat. Okay, kitabun becomes kitabu. Similarly, muslimatun becomes muslimatu. Muslimatun becomes muslimatu. Alright, you replace the tanween with a single harakat of the same Arab, of course. Okay, and what's the second reason for the ending the sound? It could either end on a suffix. Again, all the suffixes that we have studied, they are the ones that end in noon. Alright, kitabani, kitabaini, muslimuna, muslimina, muslimatani, muslimataini. Alright, all of them are ending on noon. So what do? We remove these noons. Okay, so they become kitaba, kitabai, muslimu, muslimi, muslimata, muslimatai. Alright, this is our fourth prerequisite. And finally, we should know that the muzaf is marfa here. Muzaf is marfa if its muzaf ilayh is marfa. Alright, so we did 7 criteria for an ism to be marfa, and one of those 7 criteria was that if the muzaf ilayh is marfa due to any reason, the muzaf also becomes marfa. Okay, so marfa, muzaf ilayh, marfa, muzaf. Nakra muzaf ilayh, nakra muzaf. Okay, that's what. So now that we are done with our review, let's proceed with the examples. Mind you, this may be a little longer than my usual lessons, but it's going to be worth it, inshallah. Okay, so we are going to study loads of examples, inshallah. Okay, first of all, Jannata Rajulaini. Oh, one thing that I forgot to discuss. Yes, our little trick. Our trick is that the muzaf always has this invisible off for the translation. Okay, so you always say kitab of Zaidin. Okay, this is my trick. All right, so this is just for the quick translation. So kitabu of Zaidin, or if you're not comfortable with of, what you can do is that you can attach this apostrophe s with the mudaf ilay. So Zaid's kitab. Okay, so it's either going to be this way or it's going to be this way. Okay, let me show it to you again. It's either going to be okay, where's my pen? Kitab of Zaid, or it's going to be Zaid's kitab. Okay, so this is how you can remember it. Just a little trick of mine. Okay, next. So our first example is Jannata Rajulaini, and as you can see, we have this little off here to remind us that off is always attached with the muzaf. Jannata. Now we know that it has to be light, all right, and it has to be without al. So it is without al, but is it light? Yes, it is. Why? Because the noon has been checked out. It is actually Jannatani, but its noon has been checked out, and in order to make it light, of course. Okay, so it's Jannata. Now it is not Jannatan, all right, because this is Jannatan. Okay, so it is not the singular Jannatan that has been, it is not the tanween that has been replaced with a single harakat. It is actually your musanna derivative, all right, is Jannatani, and its noon has been removed, as a result of which we have Jannata, all right, of Rajulaini. Now what is this Rajulaini? Aini sound. Ani, aini, aini. All right, musanna. So now you see where your derivatives and all the seemingly dry topics that we studied in section A are coming to play. Okay, so rajulaini, two men. Okay, so how do we translate it? We say that two gardens of two men. Okay, or two men's two gardens. Next example, bainakum, baina. This is your special muzaf, all right, and it means between. Now, we touched on this subject of special muzaf very briefly in the second or in the third lesson in section B, okay, and we are going to touch on this subject again very soon. Okay, so but for now, just remember that baina is a special muzaf and it causes the ism next to it to be muzaf ilayh, all right, to be mashhur, and it means between all of you. Okay, next example, muqimus salati. Muqimu means establisher, as-salati, prayer, the prayer. Okay, and of course our off is here with the muzaf, so we will translate it as the prayer's establisher or the establisher of the prayer. Now why have I translated it as the establisher? Because it would then indicate that it is marfa. I have said it because the muzaf ilayh of this muzaf is marfa. Why is it marfa? Because of al. So therefore we have the muzaf as marfa as well. Okay, so muqimu salati is the establisher of the prayer. Next example, rabbukum. Rabbu is rab, and of course it is light, it doesn't have alif lam al, all right, and kum is your pronoun, attached pronoun for all of you, antum. So all of your rab, or the rab of all of you. Okay, and once again, why have I written the rab? I have written it as the rab because all the pronouns are marfa, all right, therefore it's the rab of all of you. Next example, rabbuna. Once again, the word rab is muzaf, and it is light, and it is marfa. Why is it marfa? Because it is attached to the attached pronoun of nahnu. Okay, so the rafa form of na is nahnu, and na is the attached form of our. All right, so it translates as our. So our rab, or the rab of ours. Okay, next example. Yes, Rabbi. All right, now you identify this as ya mutakallim. It gets translated as my or mine. All right, and once you attach this with it, what do we get? We get Rabbi, my Rab, or Rab of mine. Actually, the Rab of mine. all right, because this is a pronoun and the pronouns are marfa, and if our mudaf ilayh is marfa, our mudaf also becomes marfa. Okay, so Rabbi. Now, one thing that I want to tell you regarding this is that most often what happens in the scripts when we are writing Arabic is that we tend to omit this ya mutakallim, and this becomes this Rabbi. Okay, so whenever you see Rabbi Zidni Ilma, for example, you're gonna see this. It's Rabbi. It is actually this form, okay, but for the sake of ease, this ya mutakallim often gets omitted. Okay, so even in Rabbi Shrah li Sadri, it's you can see that it is Rabbi, this Rabbi, the one with ya mutakallim, but it has been omitted. It has been shortened. Next example is ahdihim. Ahdin is promise, and him is our pronoun. Therefore, this ahdi being light, being without al, and of course it is going to be marfa. Why? Because its mudaf ilayh is marfa. Why is it marfa? Because all the pronouns are marfa. Now, one more thing that I want you to draw your attentions to is the fact that it is ahdihim and not ahdahum or ahduhum. Okay, why is it so? Because we learned in the pronouns lesson that the attached pronouns of who, all right, uh, they have two variants. They can either have pesh on them or they could have zir on them. Why? If the previous letter has zir, then the ha, the attached ha, also has, or the pronoun ha also has zir. Okay, this is only to ease the speech. Okay, there's no other reason behind it. There's no grammatical significance. It's only to facilitate a smooth speech. Okay, so ahdi him, and not ahdi hum or ahdi. Well, it has to be ahdi him. All right. All right, all of their promise or the promise of all of them. Next example, Dini. Once again, Deen, Muzaf. Muzaf ilayh is our ya mutakallim, and my deen, or the deen of mine. What's deen? Deen is way of life. So it can be translated as religion, and there are a couple of other translations as well. Anyways, so my deen or the deen of mine. Once again, this ya mutakallim gets omitted, all right, and you will find it this way, dini, all right, and this can be seen in Surah Al-Kafirun. Okay, lakum dinakum waliya dini. This is what's written, but actually it signifies this. Okay, so this is only something that is done to write easily. That's all. Okay, next, Ashabul Kahfi. Companions, the companions. And why the companions? Because the mudaf ilayh has al, therefore it's marfa. So since this is marfa, this mudaf also becomes marfa. And al-kahfi is the cave, so the cave's companions or the companions of the cave. Okay, I hope that now you can see where the invisible of or your apostrophe s is attaching. All right, that's why I haven't written them in each of these examples. All right, okay, now this example is interesting. Okay, so what do you see? You see harf jar, li, all right, and then you see walida, and then you see this ya. Once again, this is the ya mutakallim, all right, and this one here is your muzaf, and it is light. By definition, of course, it should be light, and it should be without al, which it is, and it is also light. Now, my question is, where did we get this from? This is actually the result of fusion. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. We have this harf jar, and then it gets, okay, forget this harf jar for a minute. Okay, don't forget it. What's happening is that this li is causing the muzaf to be in jar form. Okay, so therefore we have walidai. Okay, otherwise it would have been walida. First of all, what is this? Its actual form is walidaini. All right, the actual non-light form is walidaini. So walidani, walidaini, walidaini. Okay, this is either nasab or jar. Now why is it jar? Because we have this li here. Okay, so li walidai. So li walidaini, that is actually your actual terminology, the actual phrase. Okay, jar majroor fragment. Li walidaini. However, you need to make this muzaf light. What do? You chuck the noon away. What remains then? It remains as li walidai. And this is our ya, jai mutakallim. So these fuse together and we get landed with walidayya. Okay, I hope it is clear. Once again, let me just tell it very briefly. First of all, we have jar majroor fragment. Okay, li walidaini. Okay, but since this majroor is also the muzaf of this muzaf ilay, therefore it needs to be light and it needs to be without al. So we remove its noon. Okay, so it becomes walidai, and then we join it with this, so it becomes this walidayya. Okay, for my two parents, or for both of my parents. All right, for both parents of mine. Okay, so I hope this was clear. Rabbana gfirli wali walidayya. Okay, so this is where I took it from. Next we have sharwun nafasati. We have already dissected this word nafasati in one of my previous lessons in section A, and I would really encourage you to go and watch that because it tells us how to go retrograde from a given derivative. Okay, let's just see what's happening here. The word sharu is light. It is without alif lam. All right, and this is our jar form of the muzafile. Okay, so this is our muzafile and nafasati. And once again, you guys need to know your derivatives, your declensions, and your suffixes really well, all right? So it was actually your nafasin for the singular masculine, and then we got all the way to nafasatin, all right? So you should know that chart. Next we have Abu Lahabin. All right, this one's interesting as well. So Abu means father, and Lahabin, it takes its root from its root letters are lam, ha, and ba, and it means its literal meanings are flame or dust. Okay, and he was named by his father because he had red rosy cheeks, all right, resembling a flame. Therefore, he was named Abu Lahabin. Okay. However, in Surah Al-Lahab, we find that the connection has also been made with the flame of the hell and thus the humiliation. Okay, because dust means humiliation. Okay, so if you read that surah now that you know the meaning of this word lahabin, it's going to have a different impact on you now. Okay, so father of flame, grammatically. Okay, Abu of flame. Next, yada waladin. All right, yada, what do you see? You see that it has an alif at the end. All right, and that's the giveaway. So if you see an alif next to jar ism, you should directly see that is it the musannaf form of an ism, because most of the time it is going to be that. Okay, so yada is two hands, yadun is one hand, yada is two hands. Yada waladin, waladin is a boy, so muzafile, and this is muzaf, so a boy's two hands of a boy. If you join this concept, this yada, with Abu Lahabin, the example that we did before, you're going to understand what that means now, inshallah. Okay, next, jitiha. Jiti is neck. Okay, and her neck. Once again, a phrase that I took from Surah Al-Lahab. Okay, her neck, or the neck of hers. Why is it the neck? Because pronouns are marfa. Maluhu, his wealth. Maluhu, his wealth. Okay, or the wealth of his. Next, ala ta'amil miskini. Alright. Allah is a harf jar, ta'ami, jar majroor fragment, right? And since it is light, the word ta'am is light, and it is without al, we can very safely say that it is a muzaf, and the fact that the next word is also in jar form, we can be sure that this is our muzaf ilayh fragment. Okay, so ta'amil miskini. All right, don't get confused with miskina, all right, because this is the singular, all right, and the kina sound or the suffix is the one that is used for plural jama salim. Okay, so it's the amil miskini. Okay, therefore I have translated it as singular. Okay, ta'am, by the way, means food and not feeding. Okay, next, an salatihim, from or about, salati, prayers, him, theirs. All right, I hope you can now work this out. Jar majroor fragment and then muzaf ilayh fragment. Okay, we're going to study those in the upcoming lessons, inshallah. Nasrullahi, quite easy example now, I hope. All right, help of Allah, the help of Allah. Okay, there's nothing else. The Allah, it's the help of Allah. Okay, next, and this is the final example. Ala qulubihim, this is from Surah Al-Baqarah. Wa ala sam'ihim wa ala absarihim. Jar majroor and then muzaf ilayh. Jar majroor, muzaf ilayh. Jar majroor, muzaf ilayh. All right, so ala qulubihim, ala means upon, qulub, now this was actually qulubun. All right, remember the jama mukassir patterns that we did in section A? Now they're coming into play. Okay, qulubun, and join it with Allah, what does it become? It becomes qulubin. Make this majroor as the muzaf of him. What happens? It becomes light, so qulubu. All right, and since it is majroor already, it has to be qulubi. So ala qulubihim, not qulubihum, qulubihim. Similarly, qulub is hearts. Okay, so the hearts of theirs. Then ala sam'ihim, sam'i is hearing capability. All right, ears, the word for ears is uzn. Okay, so it's sam'i. All right, so that's the capability to hear. Okay, wa ala absarihim, the capability to see, sight. Okay, so upon their hearts and upon their hearing capability and upon their sight. Rishabatu. Okay, so Rishabatu is a wheel. Okay, so this was our final example. I hope all of these examples were clear, and sorry for a lengthy lesson, but I had to review these facts and I had to mention some interesting examples, all right, so that you know what are the variants. All right, so well, I'll now take your leave, and inshallah in the next lesson we are going to study the special muzaf and some more related concepts related to muzaf ilayh fragments. Till that time, practice making these fragments and learn your prefixes and suffixes and all these things really well. Okay, they pay you off. So barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'anil Hakim. I'll see you in the next lesson. Allah Hafiz.